YouTube, back in the garage again. Today we're going to be reinstalling the valve cover on the b20 non-vtec motor that's in my Honda CRX. I recently just repainted it. I think it turned out really nice. I'm excited to see how it looks inside the engine compartment. Now, when installing your valve cover on your Honda, there's a right way and a wrong way. The right way is just to use a few drops here and there on the correct spots to seal up the valve cover. I've seen people use a whole lot of RTV sealer and it just oozes out everywhere and just looks like total junk. So let's just jump right into it and put this valve cover back on the motor.
Alright YouTube, first step on reinstalling your valve cover onto your Honda motor is you need to clean the mating surfaces where your seal for your valve cover is going to sit. In order to do this, what I do is I take a little bit of lacquer thinner and I put it on a microfiber cloth and I basically clean the area where the seal is going to mate. The area that it's going to mate is this outer perimeter of your head. You want to make sure you get all your old sealer off of these corners and just rub the microfiber cloth on the sealer. It will come right off. Now make sure you don't have any old sealer drop into the motor. Be very careful of that. After you rub the whole area with a little bit of lacquer thinner on a microfiber cloth, I recommend taking a paper towel and going over the whole area again, including the center spots for your spark plug holes, and make sure you have no old sealer or oil residue remaining on the head. If you do, it won't seal correctly and you'll have oil leaks.
The next step that I take to reinstall this valve cover is I clean basically the grooves where the new seal is going to be getting placed. Again, I use another microfiber cloth and I put a little bit of lacquer thinner on there. Just not much, just a little bit. That'll get all the foreign particles or dirt that is in the groove here and inside of where your new seals for your spark plug holes. Get all that dirt all out. You might, if you incorrectly installed your valve cover, you're going to have sealant there too. Make sure you get all that out. You don't need to put any sealer on the valve cover itself to reinstall the new valve cover. So you just make sure you get all the dirt out of the grooves here with a microfiber cloth, and all the grooves in around your spark plug holes. Make sure you get all the dirt and if you have old sealer, make sure that is all removed also. Next step that I'm going to be doing is going to be installing the new seal, or the new seals, onto the valve cover themselves. I place it on the valve cover, then it will go on the motor. So just like I said before, make sure your areas that your new gasket's going to be sitting, make sure they're nice and clean, and you don't need to use any RTV sealer on the valve cover itself. The seal kit that I'm using is just a cheap Felpro seal kit. You can get it from any parts store. They should have it in stock for the non-vtec motors. I'm not sure if you're going to run into a problem finding other motors, but I got lucky, they were all in stock. These are for your valve, your spark plug holes. There should be 4 of them. And this is for the outer part of your valve cover. Make sure there's no stupid in here. Now, this is a clean, it just came right out of the package. With the non-VTEC motors, this isn't directional or anything like that. It just has a top and bottom, or you'll see it doesn't, you can't go wrong with having it go this way on it or that way for the non-VTEC motors. So I just basically take the new seal and I lightly press it into the groove. When I do this, I don't pull on a seal. They do stretch. You don't want them to stretch. Just put it right in the groove. Now the seal themselves, they should fit nice and snug in the groove if it's a quality gasket. That's why you don't need any sealer to hold it in place or anything like that. It should just hold itself right inside that groove. Just go around and just press it in the groove. Sure it's all the way down. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to put the spark plug seals in the center holes. I'm going to be putting the spark plug seals in their proper in their grooves. Now if you look at the spark plug seal, they have a little flap on one end and the other end doesn't. The side that does not goes inside the groove. Again, no seal. You don't need to put any sealant on them. Just press them into their home inside the groove. When it comes down to the valve cover, this is ready to go on. Now I have to put some RTV sealer on the head itself. Alright, next step to put the valve cover on is going to be applying the RTV sealer in the correct places. The correct places to put the sealer is in each corner of where the cam caps are. All four cam caps. One there, and there. Then after that, I put a very small bead around each spark plug hole. And after I put the bead down, I take my finger and I make it a light coat just around the spark plug holes. You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. So I'm using a red RTV sealer. I cut a small hole so you get basically a small bead. You don't want a huge hole, then you just end up making a mess. You got to keep in mind when you apply this, when you go to torque the valve cover down, the sealant is going to ooze out and spread. So you don't need a lot. Take my finger and I spark plug holes to make it nice and thin. And make sure it has a nice even coat. After that is all, you spread out all the RTV sealer around each spark plug holes, and you have a little dab of sealer in each corner at the cam caps themselves. Now you can put your valve cover on. When you do this, you got to be very careful when you tilt your valve cover up, so the new seals don't end up falling out of the grooves. So you just be careful with it. The bolts. Your end of your valve cover should line up with a groove with the plastic. It should go in a groove itself. So make sure you have that lined up. Once that's all lined up and everything's looking centered and good, give it a little press down. Looking good, looking good. Place. Oh, everything looks good. Alright. Next step after this is I'm going to be installing the gaskets for your bolts themselves. Unfortunately, the Velcro kit does not come with new ones. I'm just going to use the old ones that I had on this valve cover before. Simply just press on. Now you take your number 10 millimeter nuts and you put them just hand tight on each post. Nuts are just finger tight. You want to torque these down. Some sealant recommends that you wait an hour before you torque it down to spec. I always just end up just torquing it down right away. Other sealants drive really quick, so it really doesn't matter. The proper torque sequence would be starting in the middle and making your way slowly out. I believe the torque spec for these is 86 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. So it's not much at all. So I always just use a 1/4 inch ratchet and I just snug them up slowly, little bit by little bit. Just work my way around. if you really want to, just torque it down to 86 inch-pounds. It's perfectly fine. Now, I just snugged them just a little bit, and I'm going to do it again. You don't want to go too crazy with it. Just keep in mind, these are rubber gaskets. You don't want to completely crush them. When you press down on them, they do expand. Okay, and that'll be it. And then after that, you can put your spark plugs right back into the correct holes. Alright YouTube, that's going to finish up the installation of the valve cover I just painted. I think it turned out really nice. I like the speckled paint job I did to the valve cover. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time, take it easy.